Let me repeat that question. Is McClellan doing work for other teams also, or exclusively for you?
I haven't really talked to him about that, but I know what he's doing for us. You know, I'm happy to have him there.
Hey, following up on the Minka Fitzpatrick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have to decide exactly,
No.
how you would use him
No.
before the draft?
No.
You don't. Why not?
Because he's a good football player. I mean, realistically, with guys, when you take guys like that, you always, let's say you start him out at corner, okay, and then if he can't do it, then you switch him back to the other position. That's the way I've always been taught.
You've been open about wanting a veteran quarterback. How disappointed were you that you weren't able to get Alex Smith, and did you feel like you made the best offer to Kansas City?
Well, there are certain rules and things you can't say and say not. I can't talk about Alex Smith. I mean, because he's with another team. I mean, the league year hasn't started, and so I would never talk about another team's players because I think that's disrespectful.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. As free agency approaches and we assume you're going to want a veteran quarterback, do you have to have contingency plans and not just one guy because so many teams appear to be interested in some of these guys?
No, I think what you have to do is you have to have options, and you have to give yourself enough flexibility, either be A, B, C, or D, and you have to leave yourself open in case you're going to go that route. And I do that, and if it's unrestricted free agency or the draft, you always give yourself options.
Will you strike quickly like you did in Kansas City on the first day of free agency? Yeah, I mean, you made the trade, I think, the first day for Alex Smith.
I may take my time and just kind of...
Can you afford to take your time with that quarterback group?
That's a hypothetical that will be addressed within a couple of days, but, if we decide to go that route, I think we will be aggressive.
John, you talk in terms of making the best decisions for the Cleveland Browns as a group collectively. Could you just maybe flesh out a little bit the ideal working relationship with your head coach when it comes to that process? You obviously you're experienced, but one of the things we always have in Cleveland is the stories of the GM wants this guy, the coach actually wanted that guy. So could you just maybe touch on what your philosophy is as a general manager when it comes to having that relationship with your head coach?
Every successful organization I've ever been a part of or seen, I've seen the general manager and the head coach have a really good working relationship. That's constant communication. That's being able to talk 4 or 5 times a day. Hugh Jackson and I have constant communication 4 or 5 times a day. We talk about everything. And we may not agree on everything, but at the end of the day, we know what's best for this organization moving forward, and we're going to attempt to do that. And that's how we approach things, and I think that's how you have to approach things in terms of communication. I mean, there's no reason to hide behind anything. Just, talk about it.
John, what kind of head coach do you think Matt Nagy's going to be?
You know what? I've watched Matt grow. I think Matt's going to do a really nice job. He's smart as a whip. He understands the position. He's a really good understudy in terms of how he listens, and just to watch, the players that he's developed and lead. With my time around him, there's nothing that leads me to believe he won't succeed.
50-year option for Danny Shelton. Do you know what you want to do?
Actually, we were just talking to his agent this morning earlier, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, John, you've said you want to take the best player available. Do you think right now any of those quarterbacks could be the best player available?
It's a hypothetical now. We haven't met these guys. We haven't watched them throw. On film, there's some really good prospects, but I think, to be fair, in all honesty, let's let this thing play out. It's so early in the process. Let this thing, we're not going to make a definitive answer now. We have a lot of time left over. So we'll see who is that player.
When you watch Sam Darnold, how much of a concern are there turnovers?
Well, I think everybody, anytime turnovers happens, you have to understand why it happens, think about it, and see what happens. Now, he's a good player, and he's got some physical skill sets that all of us admire, and those are those questions that you ask at the combine and see where his mindset is with regards to that.
You disappointed he's not thrown Saturday?
I mean, to me, that's just the way the saying your daddy's football NFL goes. I mean, really, it's the 20. These guys do that because what they want to do is they want to go to their pro day, and they want to just put on a show at their pro day. So we'll be there.
John, how important is the medical stuff for Rosen here with the shoulder surgery and the 2 concussions?
Well, medical is, I think, one of the most important components that the combine has in place is the medical that is undergone by all players here, because they're so helpful, because you have that pool of players right here and you can knock that out. You know, we'll see when those medical reviews come back, and we'll make a determination then.
I asked you at the Senior Bowl about this, about the report that he would rather play for the Giants and all that, but
What did I say?
You said you wanted to meet with him face to face here in Indy.
Let's talk.
Right.
Let's talk like grown men.
But since then he's come out with NFL Network and said that he'd be happy to play for Cleveland, and that report wasn't something that he put out. Are you encouraged to hear him kind of say
No,
that?
I mean, I'm encouraged whenever, you know, when guys say, you know what, I want to come to Cleveland.
Yeah, right.
To me, that's cool. I want that.
Regardless of Joe Thomas's decision, do you feel left tackle is a very pressing need?
Well, you can't have enough young offensive linemen, and I think as you go and you attempt to build a football team, you try to get offensive linemen throughout the draft somewhere. You know, Joe's no spring chicken, so, you know, I think it is important to kind of plan for that as well.
You've mentioned that quarterbacks, running backs are like
Two
what
more,
you
we're
see
gonna
in those
wrap.
groups. What other positions in this draft class really stand out to you, to where you feel like you could really get some significant help?
Well, I think there's depth. I think there is overall depth at the wide receiver position, and I think there's depth at the cornerback position. Now, that may not be the high-end part of it, but through the second, the third, the fourth rounds, there's some really nice depth within each one of those positions.
What are your impressions of Saquon Barkley when you watch his film and study everything about him on the field?
He's a good football player.
John, does this opportunity in Cleveland and with the fan base, like you mentioned, does it remind you a little bit of Ron going into Green Bay in '92 and the building blocks that he had there, and the help you're going to have with Elliott, Alonzo, and Scott to get there?
No, that's those are big shoes to fill. I know the similarities are because of the passion of the fans. I think the Cleveland Browns fan base is incredible, and then you have, you know, you guys in Green Bay, you always talk about that rich, storied tradition. Guess what? The Cleveland Browns got a little bit of rich, storied tradition too. I just hope I can do as good a job as Ron did.
John, we ask you all the time about like the first and the fourth pick, but how important is having all those picks in the second round, that first pick in the third round? I mean, when you kind of see all of those options.
Well, I think any time you can get the top 65 players in the draft and have those draft picks, you can add some quality players upon your team. So it's like a general manager would love to have those types of assets available to him. And I know me for one, there's some really nice assets there to kind of build for, and I can't wait to, you know, attempt to do that.